All right, everyone, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a massive, beautiful wreath that is perfect for spring and summer. It is time to start thinking about our summer decor, and I always tell you that it is better if you start thinking during the spring season. That way you can prolong the use of your items. So what I'm going to do is I selected this beautiful wreath form that is a grapevine wreath form, and I'm going to add some of this Christmas garland. You know that I always like to add some of the Christmas garland. Why? Because that's going to allow us to attach some items into our wreath. And the way you want to do that is you grab your zip tie, you zip tie this together. You know, it's always hard to see, so I'm gonna make sure that I know. Okay, they're backwards, so that's why I was not being able to. But anyways, I just want to take a second, you guys, to say thank you so much for watching the channel, especially during the spring season. I've been having a lot of fun creating all of these DIYs for you to be inspired to create something beautiful in your home. All right, so there's one, and what you want to do is grab your wire cutters right away, and then you want to fluff right here. We're gonna do a 4-point attachment, which means we're going to attach this garland in 4 points. So we're gonna do one on the top, and you can just go through the grapevine. Doesn't have to go all the way around if you don't want to. Sometimes the zip ties are not big enough to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through here, pull really tight to attach it to the actual garland. But you may ask, well, Ron, why you're not doing it on a Christmas wreath, right? Well, because I really want to have the natural look of the grapevine. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to once again go through here and attach. All right, I'm gonna attach this real quick, and I'll be right back with you to give you the next step. Keep watching. Okay, so now that we have our garland attached to our wreath form, what we're going to do is we're going to bring our deco mesh material. I'm just gonna drop it on the floor. You know that I like to make a big loop like this, and I just want to mention, you guys, all of these materials are from Shinoda Design Center. So if you see anything you like, remember their information is always attached down below so that you can call them and ask them about prices and all those good things. They'll be more than glad to help you. So what I'm going to do is, you know that I like to grab 2 of these bristles, and see, this is why exactly I like to put a Christmas garland on it, because now it's going to make my life a lot more easy, or easier, if you will. And so what we need to do is we need to do scoops of, I want to say about 6 to 8 inches. You just grab 2 of those bristles, you swoop like this, and then you go in as far in as you can to the core of your garland. You just twist that mesh. I absolutely love this yellow mesh. It is so pretty. It is so fresh. And you guys, this is going to be a lemon theme, so it is perfect for that lemon theme. And like I said, it is so easy to work with once you have your garland right here. Okay, so now we come to an end right here. What you want to do is you want to grab it, fold it to finish, and then what we're going to do is grab another 2 bristles. And so now we're going to go back up to give this a really girthy feel to it. And so it's going to look a lot more full, and it's gonna give us a lot more to attach to. Remember that the reason we add this mesh material to our wreaths is to have something that our florals and picks are going to stay attached to. You know, it is made out of this mesh material that it really grips on to anything that we put on, especially if you are using glue. And in this case, we're using some of our glue pan glue that I have heating up right here. I can feel the heat of it on the side of my arm right here. Okay, so I'm gonna continue doing this. We're almost to the top. Once you get to the top, I'm gonna do a few more. You guys, this is going to be a massive wreath, maybe the biggest wreath that I've done here on the channel. And so once again, when we get to the top right here, what we want to do is cut. I'm gonna grab my scissors, they are buried on my greenery, and we're going to cut right here at an angle like that. All right, so let me pick this up. The next step is going to be to add our greenery, and for that I chose this beautiful ivy. I just am obsessed of how long this is. Look, you guys, isn't this pretty? And what I like about it is that it has some yellow tone to it, so it's going to be perfect for our lime, or I'm sorry, the lemon theme. And what you want to do is you want to cut some of these all at once. I'm going to cut some of the longer ones because I want to go ahead. Actually, I'm going to cut them all. Sometimes freeing them from the stem that comes in is the best thing you can do because it gives you more freedom to play with it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of the smaller ones like this one right here. I'm going to dip into my glue, which is been preheating for a while. And I'm going to start right here. And look, it's going to start adding some greenery to our beautiful wreath. And I'm going to start with the short ones. So remember to just drop it in. Make sure that you have plenty of glue into your stem. That way it's going to really latch on to your form. This is going to be our base greenery because we do have some pigs that I'm going to put in on this. Once you start getting to the longer ones, you want to go back in like this because I do want this to be like really long, like really airy. Look at that. How pretty is that? Okay, I'm going to add another one of the long ones. Now, here's a secret. If you don't want it to be this long, what you can do is cut right here at the joint and you can make more, but you have to make sure that you cut at the joint so that way you have ivy always draping down. So I'm going to go right here like that. And now here's the thing, you want to make sure we're going to put a bow right here. So what we want to make sure is that you have everything radiating from where your bow is going to be, to the right and to the left. Remember, I always tell you that what happens on the right happens on the left. Just imagine the bow right here. We'll go ahead and put it there in a minute. But for now, I have to do some greenery to make sure that we have some, every time that you have a flower, you have to make sure that you have some greenery coming down. That way it looks more natural, and we want to go, like I said, all the way around the perimeter of our wreath. But as you guys can see, this right here went up, this right here starts to go down, and I'm gonna cut this one once again right here to continue to go down like this, like so. All right, so now what I'm going to do is first I'm going to clean my scissors that I just put a lot of glue on. I'm going to bring in some of these picks right here that has some of the lemons already. I love this pick. What we're going to do is cut it a little bit shorter, a lot shorter. And look at this, you guys. This has the lemons and it has all of this greenery. In other occasions, you know what I would have done is taken all of this apart. But because this is such a big scale wreath, you can do big scale things like this right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I put a lot of glue on this stem, and I always tell you to let it run down. So remember, this is our core right here, so I'm going to go through that and I'm going to put that lemon pick right there. I have 5. Always I tell you also that you need to know how many things you're working with, because that way you can distribute them throughout your design. So it's good to know, and I always like to work with sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s because I feel like that is just the prettiest and it gives you a lot of balance on your design as well. So here you go. I'm going to add one right here. Then immediately remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down, and I'm going to put this guy right here, making sure that it goes through the grapevine so it really attaches to. See, this starting to fill in. Now here's the secret. I have one more, but I'm going to cut it into 2. Why? Because I feel like I need to finish both of my sides, and the way you want to do that is you want to split this, give it a fluff, and then right here I can see there's a joint. Actually, you know what? I probably can just pull it out. Oh, yep, I sure can. So I'm going to put some glue on my stem and let it go down, and we're going to go right here to finish. Look at that. That just finishes that side, and so now we're going to repeat. I'm going to grab some glue and I'm going to finish this side like that. And so now obviously there's a gap right here, and because our top is shorter, then we can still put one more. We're gonna do our last one in there. We can either split it, which I think I will, or we can put it all together. Let's see. No, I think I'm gonna split it. Splitting your picks, it really gives you more opportunity to manipulate your design a little better. So what you want to do is just pull. You should be able to just pull like this, And I think we're gonna get 3 out of this one right here. So once again, just pull. See how easy it is to just play with your items a little bit more, so that way you can get more bang for your buck. So we're gonna go right here, like so. And then I'm gonna grab another one, and I'm also going to put right here. And we have another one. Now this one, I feel like it needs to go out here. Sometimes it's hard to see because I'm so close to the wreath, but if I just get away from it for a minute, then I'll be able to see where it is that I need more items added. And I think right here is perfect. All right, so I did drop a few of my ivies that I'm gonna pick up because you know we're trying to use all of it. So once again, I'm gonna cut right here. And if you have ivy going all the way and needing a stem to insert, just go ahead and remove an ivy. That's gonna give you a longer stem. Okay, so now we're going to add this ivy. Let's see, I'm gonna make a shoot out of this side, like that. And we're gonna add some ivy at the end because I really want this to be very airy, but we're gonna move on to our next element, which is going to be our bow. I'm going to get that ready and I'll be right back. Keep watching. All right, so this is my favorite part of the video, and I'm going to share with you how to create a beautiful bow for your wreath at your front door, perhaps even on top of a mirror, on a swag, on a garland. And the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to free all of my ribbons from these cages they come in. And I love the selection of ribbons. Like I said, this is going to be a summery bow that I really do think you're going to love it. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're gonna grab our statement ribbon, which has lemons in it. And so it's super easy, you guys. All you want to do is you wanna start with a dovetail on your ribbon. And the way we do that is we do a V. And so now we have our dovetail, right? So you want to give it about 6 inches. I wanna say about 8 inches right here. You're going to pinch. And then what you want to do is you're gonna grab everything between your index finger and then your thumb right here. And you wanna fold it back like this so it creates that pleat right here. So you wanna go like this, and then you want to pinch right here. Then you bring that up, you twist, you bring it up, you fold. Here's the secret. The secret is in this fold right here because it really creates that pleat, and that's what's going to make your bow more beautiful. So now that we have 2 loops of our bow, what we're going to do is we're going to cut right here, and we're going to dovetail like this. And then what you want to do is you want to bring this same tail and then make another this what I call the ear bunnies, the bunny ears. And I love dovetail. And remember, I always tell you that if I come to your house and your ribbon is not dovetail, I'm gonna ask you for it. And then what we want to do is just cut right here. Now, okay, that's our first ribbon. So now we're going to bring our second ribbon, which is going to be another 4-inch. This is a 4-inch ribbon. So we're gonna create a 2 4-inch, and we're going to fold our ribbon like this. We're going to bring it in, and we're going to dovetail right here. Now, I've been making bows for a while, so you might think, oh yeah, Ramon, it's easy for you to do because you've been doing it for a while. But let me just say to you that it really is that easy. Look, all you have to do is pinch like this, go like this, pinch like a taco. You want to give it probably about 24 inches, and then you pinch again. Let me do it again. Pinch, then you go like this, and now you have those 2 loops, as you can see. So now you go up, and then you curve, and then you go down. And once again, we're going to bring this tail, because we always want to give it an extra tail. So what you want to do is go the opposite side, so that way it creates that bunny ear. And then you cut right here, once again going up, curve, and then go down. So now we have 4 loops to our bow, as you guys can see. 4 extra tails that I think look absolutely fabulous. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna bring our first 2-inch tail, which is going to be this beautiful plaid. And as you guys can see, this lemon ribbon has some plaid in it, and that's kind of like the whole theme for it, this plaid and yellow. This is backed with a beautiful taffeta in yellow, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce like this, and like I said, just pinch and fold it and bring it up, and then you go one more time, pinch and fold it, and then you bring it up, and then you fluff. Look how easy, you guys. And I'm always telling you that creating bows is the best way to make a statement on your front door. When you bring your ribbon one more time, fold it, create those bunny ears. Oh my gosh, I forgot to dovetail. I know I've made some videos before where I tell you guys to dovetail your ribbons, and then I put it on the door and it's not dovetail. But that's just because when I'm making these videos, you know, sometimes I try to work as fast as I can, and I forget, but I always, even if it is at the door, dovetail my ribbon, because it just looks more beautiful, don't you think? Okay, so that's gonna be our first 2-inch. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this 1.5 inch polka dot, which is going to coordinate with the other polka dot that we have right here. Now this one we're going to introduce right here to our hand, and then we're going to remember pinch back, bring it, grab it in between your fingers, then go up, pinch back, I want to say about 24 inches, bring it down, fluff them, because you have to fluff, and then we're going to cut. Now this 1.5 inches I cut at an angle because it's just more beautiful that way. And then we're going to bring that ribbon one more time. We're gonna bring it in between our fingers, and we're going to give it another tail like this. Now this one has to be dovetail like this. And it's better if you fluff as you go your bows where you want them to go. It is easier that way. As you guys can see, oh, I missed this one right here. Like so. And then we have one last one that's going to be this beautiful black and yellow polka dot. And I just love polka dots for summer, you guys. I think they're so pretty and fresh and young. And this color combination really does make it really vibrant. And I just absolutely love it. See, but just fold and pinch like this, and then we're going to cut our tail. And once again, bring that tail back, pinch right here, and then do another tail going the other way, pinch again. Now here's the secret for this type of bows. What you want to do is you want to bring whatever ribbon that you put first, which was our lemon ribbon, you want to bring it back, and you're going to introduce one more loop, but you want to make it really, really short, so that way it looks finished. So we're going to grab right here our bow, and then we're going to do one loop, fold like a taco, bring it in, actually even smaller because I want it to be that finishing loop. Fold right here like this, go in between your thumb and your finger, and see that's going to be the, and then this tail you want it to be shorter. And then you want to cut right there. You're gonna grab your wire. I can no longer put any more ribbons between my hand. That's how you know it's going to be a beautiful bow. But you do want to make sure that you put that wire through all of your ribbons. And then you're going to pull like so, making sure that all of your tails are freed from your wire, and then you're going to pull really tight. So I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to pull really, really tight, and once you pull really tight, you want to attach it and just swirl it around like that. So it's tight, and so now we can really finesse this bow because it is a lot of tails and ribbons. I'm going to give it a fluff, put it on a wreath, and come back to give you the next step. Keep watching. All right, so now that we have our bow on our wreath, I'm gonna bring some of this accent flower, and this is also one of my favorite ones to work with because it has a lot of bang for your buck. I'll show you what I mean when I say that. It is super affordable. You can find it, like I said, here at Shinoda Design Center. they'll be more than glad to send you some if you are making something similar to this. But at first I have to cut them all out of this. You know that I like to free them all so that way it is easier for me to work with this. But what I was gonna tell you is, like, it has this cute little yellow flower and a long stem. And remember, because this is a bigger wreath, what we're trying to do is have bigger flyaways, bigger flowers, bigger lemons. Look, that's just gonna add. And I'm going to take a second to remove this out of my side because that's gonna make it easier to kind of walk around. So also always give it that curvature that I always tell you about. Look at that, how pretty is that, you guys? It is such an affordable item, and it really gives your wreath a lot of beautiful detail and texture to it. This might be a little, you know, I know it's not too long. Never too long when you're creating bigger wreaths. Sometimes I'm so used to creating smaller wreaths that I just like, it's too long. But no, when you're creating something like this, in order to really fly away, what you want to do is have longer stems like this. Look. Then also always giving it that little curvature. So from here down is where you stick your glue, and then you lift up some of this right here and give it a curvature. This one is long, so I'm gonna put it right here in the back somewhere. Like that. Okay, so I'm gonna stop with that, and I'm gonna bring some of the flowers that I want to use, which are going to be some of these beautiful peonies. I actually gotta tell you, I bought some of these myself to have home because it is such a beautiful flower. Peonies are very representative of spring and summer, and they look so elegant on your door. I'm always telling you how absolutely stunning is this peony, you guys. So what you wanna do is I'm gonna cut them a little shorter because this is our focal flower, and when it's your focal flower, you want it to really go in the wreath like that. You really want to push them in. Now remember that I like to do sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s, and the reason I like to do that is that it just creates more of a focal point versus polka dotting them all throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do 2 of these together right here like that. See how that just creates more of a focal point? Then I'm gonna grab this one, and I'm gonna start. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down. So I'm gonna insert that one right there. Then I'm gonna grab this one. What I like about it too is because you can move the foliages. And then I'm going to create a cluster of 2, like that. And so I'm gonna do one right here, and I'm gonna do one right here closer to the bow. All right, you guys, so I am done inserting the peonies, and I'm always telling you to save some of each material by the end. I save some of the accent flowers on peonies and some ivy because I always like to go at the end and fill in those spots that we missed. But I want to introduce this right here, and I actually love this guy. I'm going to cut this tag. I'm having so much fun playing with this particular material because it is so long and stringy, and I think it's going to give it a lot of fly. You know, it's all about the flyaways, right? So I'm going to cut them all at once. And this particular stem had basically, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 stems. And look what this is going to do. Basically just give it that curvature. And then we're gonna insert this guy right here. And look at that, it just makes it look airy. Oh my God, it's so pretty and fabulous. I'm gonna insert one right here. Look how much bigger this just got just by inserting that stem. And remember, from the bow that way, we want go to our right, and from the bow this way, we want to go to our left. Let that glue run. I'm gonna lift my bow right here. I'm gonna insert one. I'm gonna continue inserting this, and I'll be right back to give you another step. We're almost done, I promise. All right, so we are back with our last step, which is going to be this gorgeous daffodil. I love the color on this daffodil and the fact that it has a beautiful grass. And look at all these stems, you guys, you get on this particular bundle. So many of them, and I like to cut them all at once again, because it makes my job way easier. So we have this beautiful daffodil with the grass on it. So once again, just dip into that glue. Now, a lot of you guys asked me about this hot glue pen, and it is the easiest way to work. Sometimes when I'm making smaller wreaths, okay, I have to correct, it's the easiest way to work with when you're creating these massive pieces. Why? Because can you imagine me trying to do like one strip of glue every single time that I'm going to insert? It's just a lot of time consuming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up all of my flowers, and look at that, it's just adding a lot more color to it. And we remember that everything has to go to our right. When we are talking about balance, what happens on the right happens on the left, and this is the best way to explain it so that you guys too can have beautiful designs. So once again, knowing how many you have so that you can insert both ways. I'm going to insert one back here on the bottom, and you might want to let them fly out like that. You want to have those layers between flowers. You don't want them to all be at the same height, because creating layers is what Mother Nature does. If you go to any garden, you can start to see all of those layers up and down, and that was going to make your work look more natural, more beautiful, and just more balanced. We're gonna finish, see how we finish one right here? We have to finish one right here too. And inserting, remember, 3s, 2s, and 1s is the best thing you can do to create that balance. All right, you guys, well, I'm going to finish this wreath just by adding the last few daffodils that I have, and I'll be right back with more. Keep watching.